the name of the character in the movie.
Man,
But yeah, it was pretty cool. It was a pretty cool experience. She was
treasure
wonderful.
stories. Treasure stories. All right, G.
So you got reconnected to the show. You're watching it. It's now part of your family, and it's part of your. You get more ingrained in the return of Svengoolie. Um, Tell us about, if you could, the bridge then, because then you
Sure.
become more than a viewer. You're
Yes.
part of that
Yeah. Yeah. It's
orbit.
it's crazy. It's like I don't know if you ever saw that movie in the year 2000, Almost Famous, about that
Yes.
young journalist who
Yeah,
gets
Cameron
caught
Crowe.
up in the with the somehow he gets in with the band and he gets this unique
Yep.
behind the scenes perspective, even though he's a nobody. That's pretty much my Svengoolie experience. So I went to meet him. Let me just say this. So first, I had never met him back when I was a kid. So I finally took my kids and we went and I saw him. It was at a mall, Ford City Mall, and I saw him there. And I remember being so nervous, like I didn't even want to say, I couldn't even talk. So I had did what any brave man would do. I sent my children over to talk to him.
That's right.
So they were talking to him, and I'm just sitting in the background like an idiot going, like I couldn't even talk. So I started going to more appearances and started talking. And then in 2010, so now 7 years of Sven chasing, it was then that the blog was started. I actually started a blog with another person named Dave, so it was Terror from Beyond the Daves. And one of the first blogs I had done was called "Growing Up and Growing Older with Svengoolie," which was later retooled for Scary Monsters magazine number 80. But I remember this was back when Facebook wasn't so corporate monetized and all that crazy stuff. Anybody could be anybody on Facebook back then. I mean, they would share, it wasn't being suppressed for money and stuff. So I remember I had posted the blog, and I was shocked that he responded like almost immediately. Like he wrote me an email and he said, "Thank you so much for what you did." I don't think a lot of people realize too that when he was a WCIU, before he went national, he used to do a daily blog himself. And it wasn't like the blog he has now where it's more promoting the show.
Mm.
This was a daily blog where he would just talk about experiences that he had and how he felt about things. I remember there was one he did where he was talking about how disgusted he was that this particular Chicago radio station that kept playing Christmas music like the day after Halloween, stuff like that. And he, anything you could. And he talked about an experience he had going to see David Letterman, and Oprah was there, and how at the time I don't know, it was just really great behind the scenes stories.
Mm.
And he was accessible. Like you could write to him and he would respond. And I did communicate with him a few times about different topics. So, it wasn't too shocking that he responded, but it was really so shocking that he saw it right away, that he responded so well to it, and then he shared it on his blog and talked about it to his fans. And so from that moment on, we knew each other, and I would cover his stuff, and he always responded to my blogs. He even responded to blogs that weren't about him. If he would write and be like, "Hi Dave, I was reading your series you did on the Horror Hound convention in Indianapolis. I'm really enjoying it." Just stuff like that, which was really amazing. And finally, I was doing it for, I can't remember the exact, maybe it was like about 3 years later. I went to the Nightmare on Chicago Street, which takes place in Elgin, Illinois, and it's this fantastic event done by the people who created his coffin and his set. Acme Design. They are spearhead
Did they get
behind it.
their name from Warner Brothers Acme?
I never asked them that. I don't know. I always thought they did, but I could be wrong. But they're really great people. I've seen them. I know a lot of them. I've been there a lot of times. But their event, Nightmare on Chicago Street, is fantastic. They literally take 3 city blocks, overturn cars, have zombies roaming the streets, and just trash the town. And then they have like this special place that's supposed to look like a rundown campaign headquarters. And Svengoolie is the mayor of the safe zone, and you go and you can meet him, and he's usually done up like the mayor kind of a thing. And it was cool. It's a really neat experience. But anyway, this particular Halloween season was freezing, and I remember
Uh,
standing outside just with a couple of my friends, just like it was like 30 degrees, and all of a sudden, his assistant producer, Jim Roach, walks out and he goes, "Is Dave Fuentes here?" And then he sees me and he goes, "You come back with us."
uh,
And from that moment on, they let me just hang out with them. And it wasn't even to help them. It was just letting me sit with them, and I could cover their events and anything I wanted to do. They didn't have me do anything. I've done that now the last few years, mostly because I want to be useful. I'm not really blogging as much like I used to, but yeah, they just completely let me just hang out with them and trusted me on that level, which was really amazing.
That's amazing.
Right,
It was.
stuff to feel good about from our younger years, stuff to feel good about
Yeah.
from the more recent
Yeah,
years.
they always say, don't meet your idols, but I've never been disappointed with Svengoolie, and he was my ultimate idol. So he did have the potential to destroy me, but he didn't. Yeah, so that was pretty cool.
That's really heartwarming. Yeah, because as you said, don't meet your idols. That's
Yeah.
the mantra. And to hear that he is as genuine and as wonderful and in person as Rich Coase.
Let me share a story. I'm going to share a story with you that I
Yeah.
never blogged about, and I've
Here we
never
go.
told another
Here we
person,
go.
mostly out of shame. But I'm going to share this story because I think it really illustrates the kind of person that he is. So early on, when he gave me, brought me into the fold, so to speak, he did an appearance at the C2E2 convention in Chicago, which is the Chicago Comics Entertainment Expo. Kind of like a big, well, pretty much it covers everything from comic books to, horror movies to Dungeons and Dragons. It's just a fan event kind of a thing.
Mm-hmm.
And so we had just completed the part where he does the signing. And then we went into the green room to kind of rest up before he was going to go out into the crowds and film segments for his show. So, me being a mere mortal, I was not nuanced on the rules of green rooms, which includes you're not allowed to take pictures in the green room. So, anyway, so we're in the green room, and there's like this little buffet table where they have refreshments. And one of the people that goes there is one of the actors from The Walking Dead. And this was back when the show was super popular, and Jim Roach was a huge fan of that show. I think most of us were back in the
Sure.
pre-Glenn getting killed days.
Yeah.
So yeah, so he came. So anyway, so Jim went up there and was like, "Hey, how you doing?" And I'm like, "Oh, I'll take a picture of them together. This will be really cool. He'll like that." And as soon as I pushed that button, the entire room went silent.
Oh no.
And I
Which
knew I had messed up. And all of a sudden, then this rather stern-looking statuesque woman comes gliding across the room and proceeds to dress down and lecture the entire Svengoolie crew on proper etiquette for being inside of a green room, and they better not take another picture. And I wanted to die. I was so embarrassed, and if I could have dug a hole and jumped in and pulled the hole in after me, I would have done it. And so after we left the green room, the Svengoolie crew went right to cover stuff for the event, and I went exit stage left to my car because I was so embarrassed. And I just remember feeling horrible the rest of the weekend. So then Monday comes because I'm thinking, well, that's it. No more me behind the scenes with Svengoolie. I definitely messed that up. And then Monday comes and Svengoolie reaches out to me and he's like, Dave, he goes, what happened? He goes, we turned around and you were gone. We were getting worried about you. What's going on? Is everything okay? And I said, look, Rich, I just want you to know I am so, so sorry for what I did and if my amateurishness made you guys look bad, I don't know. I said, I feel so ashamed. I'm so sorry. And I understand if you'll never want me to appear with you guys again or hang out with you guys. And he goes, Dave. He goes, we aren't upset in the least. He goes, that lady, she looked and acted like she was Dracula's daughter. He goes, and I've shown that movie enough times to know. That's another example of how he took, here I am ready to burst into tears, and he makes me laugh. And that's absolutely the essence of Rich Coase.
That's amazing. That's amazing.
Thanks for offering that story, or I feel funny. Thanks for giving us that story that previously untold, and for being vulnerable in that kind of a way. But that's again the point being, Rich
feels so therapeutic. Finally, thank you.
Point being,
no,
Rich
it does. Like I said, it really isn't about me. It's about the story's about him. It shows you what kind of a person he is, and he is that person behind the camera as well as in front of it.
That's great. Well, I tell you, Dave had sent over a wealth of pictures. So we got give or take 15 minutes to go for this episode. Let me do a quick few non-Dave pictures real quick, and then we'll get into some of these amazing behind the scenes and if I could call them exclusive, but they're and so all these photos are the intellectual property of Terror Dave. So okay, so here we go.
I don't know about intellectual, but thank you.
All right, first, like I said, there's the Fanboy Cantina channel. There's this very channel, Mr. C dives in. Also the Casual Crafter channel. So just recently, what Crafter had done at my request was he painted out these two Mego heads, a black and white of Boris Karloff in a color. So then Crafter sent them over to me. I have yet to put the bodies on them, but nice. I got them kind of in a reverse there. Now it's black and white on the side, and I still can't get left and right. Anyway, go ahead, Dave. You were saying?
No, I was saying it's very nice. It's awesome.
Yeah. So again, please check out Casual Crafters channel as well as J Spy. When we cut back, I'll cut to the wider shot, and there's J Spy's lab equipment in the back again. Go ahead.
It didn't show anything. It was still on the Boris picture.
Right. Okay. Right. I said I'll come back.
Okay.
Other without a YouTube channel though, Nicole Hoff, photo artist, Barbie specialist. This is her preview or behind the scenes or coming soon to Nicole Hoff on Etsy or on her own webpage. She's going to have some Godzilla versus Barbie. So as far as creativity and ingenuity, please stay tuned for further updates on Barbie meets Godzilla. Our other, again, if we're going to dig into Dave's history, he's been able to interview monsterologists. We've had the good fortune of monsterologists dropping a comment on Fanboy Cantina, but future releases from monsterologists include this Hodag image. So there's keeping the score clean for everything else. But now to jump into the actual Dave photos, Dave, just tell us what's going on here.
Okay.
Energy in this. I mean, you look like you're having the time of your life.
Oh, yeah, I was. This was the first time I ever got to go onto the set. So this was really exciting. At the time, I was going to so many appearances that we would stage like hilarious pictures at each event. And then I would bring the 8x12 of that picture and he would write something funny on it. So somewhere in my house is a stack of these pictures waiting for my son to move out and I can have my Svengoolie shrine full of these pictures. But in this particular one, he actually had signed it. He had signed it, Dave, I told you, underhand, with all these exclamation points. It was pretty funny. But yeah, this was a great day. This was one of those days that was surreal. Because not only did I'm sure you'll see in the coming pictures, but I had to see a lot of other things that I had grown up with, such as Tombstone and Durwood. And that's your cue.
Well, I was going to say, let me take that cue. But before I jump to the cue, just from this specific camera angle, whoever the photographer was, that's
Jim Roach.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Surprise. Not often seen is this exact angle of the top of the coffin. So I know the pull the chain is the move to open and close the coffin lid. But that's a not often seen camera angle at the top of the coffin, and just the mini coffin shape inside the coffin that is all the more interesting to me. But I'll take the cue. Here's you with our guy Tombstone.
Yes, the episode they were filming 2 episodes that day. They generally film 2 episodes at a time. Usually on a Friday is usually the day that they do the filming. Now, in the last picture, you may have noticed there wasn't much of a set in the background. That was because at this time, he did not have his own set. They literally had to drag everything out of a closet and carry the coffin up a flight of stairs to get to a set to do their filming. Now, today, he does have a permanent set, so there's no more of that. But this particular day, they were filming Dracula, Bela Lugosi's Dracula, and they were filming The Leech Woman. So Tombstone was dragged out to film a segment on the Leech Woman.
Nice.
as
Nice.
we discussed a year ago. Like quoting myself or repeating myself from that. When I was a kid, I'm like, a talking skull? You got a
Yeah.
talking skull on the TV?
Yep.
It was so great. And then our pal, screen name Junkyard, had thought there was some Groucho Marx influence onto Tombstone, and our viewer, Blue Sasquatch, was, I hadn't connected the dots before, but that is a Yosemite Sam looking mustache
Hmm.
on him, and so the confluence of things that make up Tombstone, it's all good, it's all great.
Yeah, that was a great day.
All right, now here, predating
Here we
Tombstone,
are
or
in the
the
MeTV
original.
broom closet. Yeah, so he, so there's Durwood. He's kept in this little coffin, and so that was really cool that they took me back there and took the time to let me touch it and see it. That was really cool.
That's
Yeah,
awesome.
and I have wondered, so the original two, or I don't know, the original of the earliest mascots that Jerry G. Bishop would run would be Durwood, as we're seeing him right here,
Hmm.
in the middle, and Zelda, and it's just again, the supporting cast of characters is so well crafted, both in the Jerry G. Bishop days and in the Rich Coe's
Right.
days. Dave, tell us, what are we looking at here?
So, oh my gosh, I feel bad. I wish I had written her name down. But this woman actually created Kerwin and now works for Sesame Street.
Hmm.
Well, she co-created Kerwin with Chris Faulkner, who is his director. So here she is doing some little touch up on Tombstone. And so I did get to meet her. She's no longer, like I said, with the show. She is now working for PBS.
That's great.
Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah.
All
So
right.
he was cool because like I got to see Svengoolie move the mouth and do the voice. So that was pretty cool too.
Good.
That's Chris Faulkner on the left looking down. He's kind of an unsung hero in the Svengoolie verse. He's pretty much the image of quiet and unassuming. But this man is a perfectionist, and let me tell you, tonight, he's showing the film War of the Gargantuas. You are you can bet that that print that you're going to see tonight is the best print available because Chris will literally, if a better print comes up, he will change the prints for the reruns. So you are always seeing the best version of any film when Svengoolie airs it. He's also been responsible for creating a lot of the pretty much almost all the other sidekicks from before Kerwin, including my absolute favorite, which was the Wacky Dactyl, which sadly I don't have any pictures of. But he was basically he retooled a Jurassic Park 3 pterodactyl and put sunglasses on him, and then he would do WZOO and Berwin, and it was the Wacky Dactyl, and he would help Svengoolie with the male segments.
Oh man, see that again, somewhat lost in time, but partially captured. Again, who knows what's in the future if we're able to pull greater details or more images on these. But yeah, there was Kerwin's been a long-standing guy now.
Yeah, Kerwin's the permanent fixture from here on out, but he actually dabbled with a few different sidekicks, helping him with the male segment as the years went on. In the beginning, when he came back to television, it was Doug Scharf that was assisting him with the male.
Hmm.
And he actually used to have two male segments. He used to have a full male segment, and then he had an email segment because, of course, this is the late 90s, and we had that newfangled thing called email. So he actually did an
Mhm.
email segment and a male segment in two different parts of the show, and Doug Scharf assisted him with that. Then he had the infamous Ed the Bat, who had a voice that drove Neil Sabin crazy, the owner of the studio. So Svengoolie was pretty much ordered to get rid of Ed the Bat because it got on Neil's nerves. So he did a hilarious. I don't know if you guys have ever seen the segment where he fires Ed the Bat. It's really funny.
I don't think
He
I've
like
seen.
fires Ed the Bat, and I don't know if you're familiar with the voice, but it was it was irritating. I'm gonna go with Neil on that one. It was just like it was a real high pitched thing, and you see Neil actually appeared in the episode and fires him. And then you see the bat fly off going, "You haven't heard the last from me, I'll get you." And then they play that dun dun dun, music, and that was the end of that. So then after the bats, they actually took a TriStar 1998 Godzilla, and Chris retooled that to move its mouth and do the male segment. It was funny because not too long ago there was a big Facebook debate on what was the name of that sidekick? What did they name him? And finally, Chris told me, he goes, the reason you don't remember is because there was no name. Toho is so litigious that we didn't really want to cause a lot of attention to him, so we never bothered to name him. So he was just kind of an interim until they went to the Wacky Dactyl. And then they had Qwerty the Spider, who sounded an awful lot like Ed the Bat. And I asked Chris, I'm like, how did Neil accept Qwerty but not Ed the Bat? And he goes, well, at that point, the show had been going on so long, Neil really wasn't watching, so we were able to get away with what we wanted to. So that was pretty much how that went. But he wasn't around too long either, and then it was into Kerwin. And Kerwin, of course, has lasted now, I think, well over 10 years.
And G, for frame of reference, and again, a cross reference, as we did a year ago, that Johnny B had been a guest on some more than a segment, but did a whole, I think, a Halloween special with Sven. So the Ed the Bat voice, at least to me, there's a strong or significant degree of overlap with Johnny B. I don't know the name of the bug character, but he would record his own voice or do a distorter on his own voice to be a high pitched, kind of like a Twiddlebug going back to a PBS Sesame Street, kind of like anyway. So that was it's definitely an annoying kind of a thing, but that's where the comedy comes from.
Right.
All right, well, let's go a little bit more and see what else we can see for today. So is this the...
So here he's dragged it out of the closet and is taking it out, taking it out of its tarp to for him to perform.
Got to keep dust off of the mustache and off of the skull bone there.
Right.
Can't have foreign particles around the eye sockets or around the teeth. All right.
There we are again in the broom closet looking at the Durwood character. Yeah.
Again, and then this one. Oh yeah, the back.
There they are in the closet.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, they were just stored in a box in the closet at the time. Like I said, this is back then. That's not now. They have their own full studio, and so the things aren't stored away like this anymore. But yeah, back in 2015, that's the way it was working.
You guys do what you got to do. But
Exactly.
It's kind of horrifying.
Yeah, yeah, it was pretty frightening.
And my filling in the blanks in my head, again, because of the Sven Cave images where it's replicating the different Robin suits or the different Batman suits, I figured there was going to be some approximation of that for here's where Kerwin is on display, here's where Durwood resides, here's where Tombstone hangs out. But again, we went to the right guy to get the behind the scenes stuff.
Yep.
All right, now
and every episode, I should probably mention that Chris Faulkner brings out a huge chest full of like goodies, so that he can, if they're showing a vampire movie, he'll stick all the vampires on related stuff on top of his desk. And so there is actually a moment or every episode where Chris has to run in and pull out all the goodies from each for whatever show he's showing. And I've shown a few of my stuff have been on there too. I remember they showed Rodan. They borrowed one of my Rodan figures, and I have a huge Metaluna head that was on his desk when he showed that.
That's deeper cuts.
And there may or may not be an appearance of one of my Mole Men masks in an upcoming show in April. Yeah.
Teaser, stay tuned, right?
Stay tuned for the Mole Men mask. Yeah.
All right, let's take a little bit more now. So maybe this is some more of the production value or so how did they get the Tombstone appear on the TV, but now his...
Right. They're filming this jungle segment for the Leech Woman, and they're testing. Right now, what you're seeing is them testing him moving Tombstone and how it's showing up on what they're filming. So this is kind of what you're seeing is just them testing it out, making sure everything's working. Yeah, see, there she is playing around. Yeah.
That's great. And again, one of the Jerry G. Bishop clips that I've seen is Zelda. Then the voice was still going, but the jaw wasn't moving.
Right.
Again, riffing on it spontaneously. How do you talk when you don't move your lips? And in addition to that, you don't have any lips. So that's some good stuff.
There's the control room. So there's a separate room where the control panel is. It's pretty funny too because they don't have him there anymore, but I don't know if you remember when he used to go hit the theme song. Chaz Ailing used to be in the control room, and what's really fun is if you're ever at a Svengoolie taping, let me tell you, it's like a show and a show because what goes on behind the scenes is so funny because they'll be talking And meanwhile, up in the control room would be Chaz listening, and he'll be putting in those Svengoolie sound effects. So, like for example, there was another guy there, and Svengoolie's like, "Oh yeah, this is Dave Fuentes," and then all of a sudden Chaz played, "He's a creep," that kind of sound effects. So I mean, he would do stuff like that, though. They would keep playing it, or Svengoolie would say, might have Jim Roach might be saying something like, "Oh, did you know this particular person did such and such," and then all of a sudden Chaz would play the "More You Know" song or theme music, funny stuff like that. So yeah, the control room, there's a lot of fun stuff going on during a taping too. It's quite amusing.
See,
That's amazing that it's all done real time like that. I mean, just to be that quick
I
witted.
don't know how it is now because Chaz is gone, but when he was there, oh man, it was hilarious.
That's amazing.
Yeah. A lot of people didn't know that Chaz, I don't know if you ever saw the movie The Evil Dead. Did you
I
ever see
have
the
not
film?
seen it, but I know
Well,
the
one of the
movie. Yes, yes, yes,
characters
yes, yes.
is an aunt to Chaz. So Chaz actually has a relative.
Oh,
that's
okay.
right.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yep.
And
I've never gotten into the Evil Dead franchise,
No.
but I, yeah.
Well, he has some horror connections.
Nice.
But in college, you were into the college radio station, so that's all. But now, as far as making the sounds go and the production value, Chaz hitting the stuff, I mean, that's
Yeah, because you have to know which number to hit for which sound effect.
That's right.
So that's a talent.
It's a talent.
Yeah.
all right. Well, let's go one more picture and end on you and Sven together, and then Dave.
There it is.
Go right ahead.
Scary
Aw.
Monsters magazine number 80, that article I mentioned earlier. So we're up in I forget what town it was called. Long Grove. It's a pretty affluent town.
Uh-huh.
And someone had opened up a vintage Halloween related store. It's not there anymore, but it was there then, and he was there for like the grand opening. And so I brought the magazine with me, and we did this, funny pose.
That's great.
Yeah.
Well, I've had fun as I anticipated with this conversation. Dave, I hope we've been decent hosts for you with my technical errors notwithstanding.
Not a problem at all.
You gave
Thank
us
you.
a wealth of other photos. Let's see if we can figure out when to follow up and be able to cover the rest. I think all this material deserves its due, and I would hope that we're able to approach that in the future. G, go ahead and plug your channel as we're closing.
Well, no, just Dave. Thank you for this. This was a gift. Thank you for
I appreciate that. It was a
spending
pleasure.
bit of your time with us. This was
Not a
just
problem at all. Thank
so
you.
wonderful. You've shed more light behind the man, behind the mask or the makeup and the hat. Yeah, I had hoped that he would be as awesome as you would hope he would be, and as you've expressed, he is. So that this is
Absolutely.
And that's just one of the same guy who stays when there's been a long line for the in-person signings. The same guy who stays to get,
as we saw at Volo.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yes.
One for the Bucks. Yep.
So for folks who are watching, if you haven't seen it already, you should go to terrordaves.com where you did a wonderful profile, wonderful write-up. And you can also see actually I should point this way. You can see Mr. C and J Spy in the photos. So check out the piece that Dave wrote.
Thank you.
And then we also ran what we called the simulcast. We ran on the J Spy 25 YouTube channel, as well as on this very channel. We took the same material, which was our highlights of being at Volo, and we featured the front half of that was that we didn't realize we were meeting Dave, but there he was taking our picture. And again, once the light bulb went off for that, I'm like, well, that's what led to this conversation here for me to reach out to Dave through his blog. So again, if that's your interest and you want to catch up on cryptozoology or universal style monsters, Sven appearances, a wide variety of things. How many years were you actively?
This is the 13th year.
Okay.
Yeah,
so a lot of years, a lot of words, a lot of pictures. Feel free to dive into this stuff if that's your interest. And again, David, I'm glad we did this. I look forward to the possibility of future conversation. With that, I'm going to sign us out. And I hope people who are taking a look at the episode enjoyed it as much as we did.
Yeah. No,
Thank
thanks
you.
so much.
Thanks, everybody.
All right.
And we are out.